Heading back to Crescent Isle makes the party realize that there is no edge of the world. Of course, even ancient seafarers and scientists knew this in real life long before Christopher Columbus. Compasses wouldn't work otherwise, but let's just ignore that part. The world is round. A bit anticlimactic, but that's one more discovery to report to the Sailors Guild. The Dark Rift still exists though, that counts as a world's edge. So it is the abyss below everyone's feet, but it's not like we'll ever go down there. Rabam and Ismail join our crew, and Belle, a girl we briefly saw in the Primrose when Aika and Fina were rescued, has also come to aid in the fight. Vice gives Rabam the engineering scroll, and he gets to work making the upgrades for the Delphinus. While we were gone, Rabam and Ismail were both busy. We actually have a base to call our own now. Even Gonzalez got a proper mural where Vice buried him. The base is a bit bare bones at the moment, but if you throw a sack of gold at Ismail or Kerala, or both, you can add improvements until it is a fully fledged, recognized and established home. I prefer the Eastern aesthetics Kerala provides, but both are great. We also have a conference room at the top of the Crescent now. Vice and company convened there to discuss their next course of action. The Silver Moon Crystal is what the Elders back at the Silver Civilization, wherever that is, so all that are left are the Purple and Yellow Moon Crystals. As the Mauve TARDIS still can't be bypassed, the team decides to go for the Purple Crystal first, which will take us to the Lands of Ice, a frozen wasteland hidden behind ice reefs and powerful frozen winds where little can survive. Yes, we know, we went there by accident before heading to Esperanza. Enrique suggests Brabam's upgrades to the Delphinus' hull should be strong enough to allow us to punch through the glacier to get to the ruins of ice where the Purple Moon Crystal should be. I have a few issues about ships and giant chunks of ice. There are consequences you should consider! If you are too impatient to deal with even more random encounters traveling around the world, you can wait until after you get the Purple Moon Crystal to obtain the rest of the Blue Rogues with the Yaftoman upgrades to your ship. Going back to Ixataka will allow us to recruit Hans, who has finished his training with Suntime and is ready to join our crew. If you didn't speak to him before heading into the Dark Rift, just return to your ship and come back. Go to Maramba and speak to the fortune teller Khalifa right next door to the tavern where we met Elena. She mentions having a vision of the Suyaran blade, a cutlass from the Far East. If you have it in your inventory, and why wouldn't you, she will join you as the second merchant. She is invaluable for obtaining the ultimate ship weapons later in the game. Return to Yaftoman airspace to find a hermit blacksmith near the Dark Rift. If you have at least the title Vice the Daring, speaking to him a few times will convince him to join you as an artisan. You will need to deal with Vice the Imposter to restore your swashbuckler ranking before you can recruit him. Return to Esperanza and speak to Dawn to convince him to join your party as the second helmsman. At this point you should have all but one of the crew members. The last one can't be obtained until after we get the Purple Moon Crystal due to its location. Shops are available now in Crescent Isle. Bell or Kazim will staff the ship parts shop depending on whoever is active. I prefer to keep Bell on hand because if you can handle the higher SP costs, secondary cannons can do far more damage in the long run than primary cannons, and Arala's ability can max out your SP once per battle. Osmond sells spell boxes, which have been available throughout the game, but once you upgrade her shop she sells you some of the strongest offensive spell boxes in the game. These are useful for budgeting spirit and magic points in battle, but since they also operate off of the user's will stat, the only two characters using them at the end of the day are Aika and Fina anyways, and I've already gone over why budgeting Aika's MP is a moot point. Ryukan will sell us weapons and armor as expected. Later on you'll be able to upgrade his shop, which is necessary if you want to obtain Vice's ultimate weapon or penultimate weapon in the GameCube re-release and haven't failed any of the criteria up to this point. Ever since returning to Crescent Isle, our title has mysteriously changed to Vice the Fallen Pirate. Going to the nearest Sailors Guild and checking the wanted list will show that we have somehow ended up on the Black Pirate list. Someone must have made a mistake somewhere, we just got back from the Outer Lands. Heading to Nazred, just outside of the remains of the palace, we find Vice. Or rather, someone who looks suspiciously like Vice. And Aika. And Fina. Turns out a theater troupe got mistaken for Vice and company while we were gone, and they started making a living intimidating people for protection money. And now that we're back, they're looking to kill us and replace us completely. That's not happening. Despite their status as a theater troupe, Vice and company are extremely difficult at any level. They have specials that mirror our own, and Aika's double Anita is the worst of them. She dies first. Fina should be next as she throws out support spells. Wipe them away with Lunar Winds and Lunar Cleansing as needed. Vice himself is a coward and mostly stays on the defensive. Keep Enrique on Justice Shield to have the damage outputs of Cutlass Wrath and Anita Burst. A lot of skill and luck is required to win this fight, even if you do have all the necessary spells and specials. Your title will return to normal after the fight. Report your victory to the Sailors Guild for 20,000 gold. We've already been to the Lands of Ice and found all the discoveries we could get right now. The way to the ancient purple civilization is in the semi-frozen lake. There will be a pillar somewhere in the lake. Fly up to it to anchor the ship and... Vice No, please reconsider this course of action! You are very, very lucky. That could have ended a whole lot worse. Guarding the way into the ruins are steles with a few questions related to the Purple Moon. If you care about your swashbuckler rank, the correct answers here are the Power of Ice, maybe 2, and Will and Spirit. In the ruins proper, Vice doesn't watch where he's going and nearly falls into the abyss. The fog clears and the group sees that under the giant ice shelf, the purple civilization remains untouched by the rains of destruction, though its people mysteriously disappeared after the world collapsed. Our journey through the ruins, if such a title can even apply to a lost civilization this pristine, twists and turns, but is otherwise a straight shot to the end. One chest and moonfish is inaccessible here until we get that altitude upgrade for the ship and can land in the ruins directly. Oh my god, Zivil and Bane, go away! Once I get back home, I am filing a restraining order against you. Eat Glacier! Getting to the end pits us against the obligatory boss. My previous playthrough of this, Fina petrified it with the Lunar Glyph, and I was able to wipe it out before the effect wore off. Just how many other bosses are vulnerable to getting stoned? We head into the ruins proper, and we are reunited with an old friend we once thought to be dead. Drachma has survived! After we abandoned ship, Rognum dragged the Little Jack all the way to the Lands of Ice, saving both it and Drachma. As it turns out, Rognum was actually the Purple Gygus Plurgoth all along. The purple civilization embedded a normal arc whale with the moon crystal, and it mutated into the Gygus. During the battle with Ramirez, Rognum was mortally wounded, and now it's dying. Drachma's rage and lust for revenge against the arc whale faded when he realized it inadvertently saved his life, and he felt an obligation to be with it in its final moments. After it dies, and we obtain the purple moon crystal, we part ways with Drachma. He spent so long hunting Rognum, he must start his life over. He compliments Vice for how much he has changed since they last met, and leaves. We return to Crescent Isle so Burbam can upgrade our ship to fly above and below the clouds. There are a whole heap of locations and discoveries to find now, many of them being super difficult without a guide. Fortunately, there are no random encounters in either area, and this doubles as a very efficient way to get around the map now. It is at this point that you can get all but one of the discoveries, and the best time to do so to get the most gold from reporting them to the Sailors Guild. This is a much larger pain in the ass than you would expect, especially without a guide. Many of the high and low altitude discoveries are transient or straight up invisible, forcing you to troll across the skies to find them. Even with in-game hints that are dropped as the story progresses, it can be extremely difficult. Even with a detailed map about their flight paths, it can be extremely difficult. I don't recommend doing this, I'm just doing it for the sake of the video. Going to high altitude north of the Voluan continent will get us the last crew member, Ilkamus. I have no idea how he managed to get up here, let alone build a small laboratory. He refuses to speak to us initially, but leave and re-enter, and he will say he'll join us if we know the spell Rizalum. This is very easy to already have for Fina, especially if you were using silver power while in Ixtaka so long ago. Ilkamus is super valuable to have in our crew. After upgrading his lab back on Crescent Isle, he will sell us those stat boosting seeds for 5,000 gold each, and gold will not be difficult to come by going forward. The last crystal to obtain is the Yellow Moon Crystal. With the improvements made to the Delphinus, we can now go underneath the Voluan continent and find a network of caverns that will take us to the Maw of Tardis. The entrance into the caverns is directly to the east of Crescent Isle. The Dancing Lights discovery is right in front of it, and very obvious to find. The inside of the cavern is nothing particularly special aside from a bunch of new encounters, so just grab the 2 treasure chest crystals and move on. The underside of the Maw of Tardis is a massive construction with another Stonehenge-like structure like the one above, but there's no moon crystal. Flying up to the top, however, will bring us face to face with the awakened Yellow Gygus Yeligar. Just like with Rognum, Yeligar was never sealed away. The Sylvites were unable to contain it, so they put it to sleep, somehow, and put a massive steel slab over the entrance. You know, in hindsight, it's a good thing the Sylvites soundproofed the Maw of Tardis, or else the Voloan Empire's biggest and loudest guns would have woken it up long ago. It would have also taken care of most of the Armada and possibly the rest of the Empire, but then we'd have two Gygases wandering around the world causing chaos. Oh, whatever. Like just about every other ship battle for the rest of the game, Yeligar isn't much of a threat to the Delphinus, so hit him however you wish and keep your SP high for the Moonstone Cannon when it pops up and you'll be fine. I actually didn't even know that you could knock it off balance, but I did, and it couldn't use its strongest attack. Yeligar doesn't just die, it explodes, and we retrieve the Yellow Moon Crystal from the resulting crater. It's a good thing these are indestructible, and here Enrique thought he could just smash them. With that, Fina's quest is completed. The only problem now is she needs to get back to the Silver Civilization. Question is, where is it? Well, turns out it's in space. That would stand to reason why no one ever found it, despite Weiss having been born and raised under the Silver Moon where there are very few landmasses. The only ship that can get up there is Fina's ship, and unfortunately that was lost at the start of the game when Alfonso captured her. Can we even retrieve anything that falls into deep sky? How long were you waiting in here trying to look dramatic? I have been expecting you, Mr. Bond. Gilder stops by Crescent Isle and informs us that the Voloans have established a base on Dongral Island, just within spitting distance of Shrine Island, to probe into deep sky. Why? Maybe because Galshan thought there was another country under the clouds and wanted to shoot it too. Our mission now is to break into the base and steal the schematics that allow them to do this so we can retrieve Fina's ship. As we do this, Galshan announces his plans to the admirals to defect from Voluet and conquer the world for himself. His ambitions for ultimate power have grown too much for Fantasy Spain to contain. Alfonso protests this, and Gregorio is highly suspicious of his goals. Nobody else seems to mind this treachery too much, least of all Ramirez, though Beleza questions his motives after the meeting. If it wasn't clear at this point, she's in love with him, but he only has eyes for fascism. He sends her off to Voluet to act as a spy as he plots out his defection in full, but it seems to be a sacrificial move. Just what are you plotting, Galshan? We get to the hangar where the Chameleon is being upgraded for deep sky travel. Run to the far end of the hangar to grab the last moonfish in the game. If you did all of the fights against the Angel of Death up till now, you can finish the moonfish side quest once you leave. Deloco and Galshan sees us from the bridge stealing the engine schematics. While nothing seems to come out of it at first, Galshan quickly intercepts us on our way out. Before we engage in a fight, however, Gregorio comes out of another set of doors, armed for battle. Not with us, but with Galshan. He realizes Enrique was right all along. The ultimate plan was purely a fascist rule for its own sake, and knows that the Blue Rogues are the only hope to put a stop to it. He buys us time to escape by holding off Galshan and dying in the process. The party returns to Crescent Isle to begin modifying the engines of the Delphinus. After 10 days of construction and testing, the modified engines of the Delphinus are complete. Afterwards, Enrique tells us that once we've retrieved Fina's ship, he wishes to be dropped off at Sailor's Island so he can return to Voluet and warn his mother of Galshan's imminent betrayal. For now, however, we head down into the Vortex, and eye in the impassable cloud storm that leads to the surface of Arcadia. After a long descent, you finally get to see Arcadia's surface, or at least a fraction of it. It's nothing special, just an eternally dark void and a giant valley of mud. The fact that you go down there at all, though, is pretty friggin' sweet. Finding Fina's ship is just a small game of Minesweeper. You have 10 charges of your sonar that will reveal if there is something in the square you're in and the ones adjacent to it, or if it's in the squares adjacent to those. Again, like Minesweeper. There are only 3 items down here, including Fina's ship. And if you hit the wrong square, you'll get into a ship battle with a weird manta ray angler fish hybrid. You'll want to fight at least one if you want to get the legend status. Also, it isn't even procedurally generated, so the items are just in the same spot every time. After picking up the 2 pieces of Vorlik, we retrieve Fina's ship. Seconds after it emerges from the mud, we suddenly get shot at by the Chameleon. De Loco is here and he wants his revenge for us beating him 3 times in a row back in Ixataka. Well, if he wanted to stand a better chance against us, he should have upgraded his ship a lot more. Statistically, he's stronger than he was in Ixataka, but not by much, and definitely not up to the scale we are at now. But then nothing has really stood a chance against us since we got the Delphinus. Not even the Gygus. The trickiest thing about fighting in deep sky is that it is so dark we can't get a tactical read like we can anywhere else, so we can't tell if we have advantage or disadvantage against the enemy. We are effectively firing blind. Having Tika Tika here as your active lookout and replacing all your ship weapons with torpedoes is recommended, especially if you want to min-max your gains from unique fights. I didn't in this run, but that's also because I'm an idiot. Once you reduce the Chameleon to about half health, he will retreat, but dropping his HP to 0 gives you the full set of rewards like you just beat him in the next phase of the fight, including the Captain's Stripes, so do this if you want to double up on rewards. However you choose to do this, De Loco will get a second wind and broadside you with a harpoon cannon of his own design, tethering your ships closer together. The second phase of this fight isn't much different from the first. Your ships are both slightly more accurate, but he's statistically still the exact same ship, and you vastly outgun him. Reduce him to 0, and De Loco finally goes down with no chance of him ever bothering you again. No, seriously, he's dead. Now that that is done with, we can return to Crescent Isle, but not before dropping Enrique off at Sailor's Isle so he can charter passage to Valoa. We return to Crescent Isle to find Gilder and Clara waiting for us. No idea what happened off-screen, but the fact that Gilder isn't running for the hills implies some interesting character development. The party celebrates their victory, but Fina does not share in the mood, as she knows she may not be able to return to us after leaving to the Great Silver Shrine, and has come to like living on Arcadia compared to what is waiting for her back home. Before Vice can comfort her, the island is suddenly bombarded by cannon fire. The Voluans have found us. Again, Vice, Aika, and Fina go down to fight off the invaders. Ramirez does the reverse Sephiroth thing again and demands the moon crystals, but we're not just relinquishing them to the protege of a fascist when he's at our door. Not when we've come this far. Try as you must, however, you are still no match for Ramirez. He claims all of our moon crystals from our beaten bodies, which leaves only the silver crystal. Fina demands to know why Ramirez joined the very same people they swore to protect the moon crystals from. His only experience with people since coming to Arcadia ended up being those in the Armada and Upper Valoa, so only understood humans as being greedy, selfish, and corrupt. And this is why the Elders called down the Rains of Destruction in ancient times, using the power of the 6 moon crystals. On top of all that, he doesn't need to go to the Great Silver Shrine to get the Silver Moon Crystal, as all Sylvites are born with one tied to their life force, including Fina. He attempts to forcefully extract it from her, but before the Final Fantasy VII references come full circle, he is disrupted by cannon fire. During his supervillain speech, Gilder and Clara snuck away and boarded the Claudia for a counterattack. Ramirez retreats back to his ship with the 5 moon crystals, leaving our surface base in cinders and Fina with a lot of issues to work through. Everyone we recruited all begin to clean up and remove the debris so Ismail and Kerala can start rebuilding. Vice steps away to try and comfort Fina. Everything about her life was just implied by Ramirez to be a massive lie. After having some time to think, she comes and tells us of her plan to return to the Great Silver Shrine and confront the Elders on what Ramirez told her, and wants us to come with her. Gilder rejoins the party to fill in the void that Enrique left, and I'm pretty sure he's excited to go to space too. It's the least we can do to repay him after he recommended Ismail and Rabam to us. Meanwhile, back in Valoa, Enrique approaches his mother about Galshan's imminent betrayal with most of the Armada, but Alfonso has already told her, and so she is making a new armada with him as its Lord Admiral. Bad move, Theodora. Alfonso doesn't have a good track record and is only an admiral in the first place due to nepotism. None of this has laid her ambitions for world domination either, especially not after whatever it is Alfonso told her during the scene transition. Enrique's not hearing any of this, especially after having seen the destructive power of the Gygas firsthand, even if 3 of them are dead at this point. Since Theodora is not willing to give up her plans for world domination, he plans on killing her, but before he could make a move, Beleza suddenly appears to knock him out. Alfonso orders her to take him to the Grand Fortress. As the rest of the Blue Rogues rebuild our home base, we board Fena's ship and take off into space. I can only imagine how mind-blowing this would actually be to an 18th century sailor,